All right, ladies and gentlemen, it happened. Welcome back to the channel. The Pittsburgh Steelers have just traded for wide receiver Mike Williams with the New York Jets. They gave them a fifth-round draft pick. Folks, this is an absolute steal. I won't tell you this is, oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers are winning the Super Bowl, but I am telling you, the Steelers are 6-2. It's a completely different offense with Russell Wilson. And when you even look at just the receiving room in general, George Pickens blowing everybody away, 35 catches, over 540 total yards. Number two, tight end Pat Freiermuth. I'm glad that we've seen him implemented into this offense more so in recent weeks. He clocks in at number 2, 26 catches for 264 yards. Number 3, Mr. Calvin Austin III, who's averaging 18.3 yards per reception. He only has 14 catches, but he has 257 yards. And then after that, the next receiver for the Steelers on that list would be Van Jefferson, who only has 14 catches for 139 yards. But we talked about this in our Steelers video a couple of days ago. Since Russell Wilson was the quarterback one for Pittsburgh, Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson and Pat Freiermuth have all seen upticks in production and stats. So Mike Williams, he's a really talented player. We haven't seen too much of him over in the New York Jets, and obviously they just traded for Davante Adams, so they don't need him anymore. I'm kind of actually a little surprised now that I say that out loud because I think Allen Lazard is done for the season. Anyways, guys, welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, mainly Mike Williams and this Steelers offense. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Post a ton of Steelers videos every single week. Steelers fans, NFL fans, try and get this video to 250 likes. Folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. So Mike hasn't done anything too crazy this season. He's played in all 9 games for the Jets. He started in 3. He has only 12 catches for 166 yards, no touchdowns. He's averaging like 18 yards per game, 13.8 yards per catch. So it's actually pretty good. Here's the thing. He was with the Chargers last year with Justin Herbert, right? 3 games. He had 3 games last season. And by the way, he's only 30 years old. I think that kind of surprised me. I would have assumed Mike Williams is probably 32, maybe at least 31. 2 years ago with the Los Angeles Chargers, he played in 3 games, 19 catches, 249 yards, and a touchdown. That would be his season high. I know it's a small sample size, only 3 games. He was averaging 83 receiving yards per game. He was a legit wide receiver number 2 opposite to Keenan Allen, right? This is just 2 years ago. But unfortunately, he gets banged up for the entire season. 63 catches, 895 yards, and 4 touchdowns. This was back in 2022. That was the last time we saw Mike Williams fully healthy play a full regular season was in 2021, where he had 76 catches for almost 1,200 yards, 9 total touchdowns. It was a phenomenal season. But like we're saying, he got banged up at the start of last year, and the momentum just went to the wayside. And the Jets are, 3-6? Even without Davante Adams, they weren't really giving the ball to Mike Williams. You watch a Jets game and you're wondering, how are they running this offense in 2024? I feel so bad for them because my GOAT, Aaron Rodgers, is a Packers fan. I love him. But yeah, Mike Williams just needed a change of scenery desperately. The Pittsburgh Steelers guys are 6-2. They're 6-2. They haven't won a playoff game in way too long. They haven't won a playoff game in over 5 years. I'm sick of this team being led by their defense and a mediocre Kenny Pickett making the playoffs. Unfortunately, TJ Watt was injured last season, but it just sucks how this defense is so freaking good. And on paper, the offense is also really good. George Pickens, Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, new revamped offensive line. It's the future of this team. Their offensive line, folks, is the future of this team. And I keep having like a top 5 undisputed defense in the NFL. And there were numerous games last season where the Steelers defense won them football games. And it's all just to make the playoffs, have a mediocre quarterback starting in the playoffs and lose. I'm sick of it. What we've seen from the Steelers team in the last 2 weeks, Russell Wilson, 542 yards. He's got a rating of 111.9. 3 passing touchdowns, 0 total interceptions. He also has a rushing touchdown. I know it started a little bit slow. Keep in mind, Russell Wilson, before 2 weeks ago, hadn't played live action football in a really long time. But he puts you in positions to win these games. And when I would watch Justin Fields in the Steelers offense, it kind of felt too Kenny Pickett-y. Kenny can actually run. He's a pretty good mobile quarterback. Obviously, nothing close to Justin Fields, but they just didn't have that deep ball. And that's what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is the deep ball, specifically Russell Wilson to George Pickens. One good thing with Mike Williams is the deep ball. He is phenomenal in 50-50 positions, just like George Pickens is. So, I'm not sitting here and telling you he's going to average 83.6 receiving yards per game, but I also don't think he's going to give you 16, 17, 18, or whatever he's doing with the New York Jets in the 9 games this season. You're probably going to see, 3 catches for 40 yards, 2 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown, stuff like that. And it just gets this offense more versatile, gives them more options in the receiving game. And, like I said, we made a whole Steelers video about this 3 or so days ago because you're in your bye week, or you were in your bye week. I'm looking at these stats. I'm thinking Calvin Austin's having really good football games now. Van Jefferson is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Calvin Austin last week, 3 catches, 54 yards and a touchdown, and also, that huge return touchdown. Van Jefferson last week, 4 catches, 62 yards. He was 4 catches. He had not done more than 3. He had 3 catches for 26 yards back in that Dallas game. Up until that Giants game on Monday Night Football, he had his highest receiving in a game was 3, which isn't terrible. His highest receiving yardage in a game was 26. First game with Russell Wilson, 2 catches, 15 yards, and his first Steelers touchdown. Second game, 4 catches, 62 yards. Van Jefferson can play. Calvin Austin can play. We know George Pickens. We know Pat Freiermuth. We know what these guys are capable of. Cordell Patterson eventually. This offense is not as bad as people think. And when I look at this Steelers team, you're 6-2. And this is the brunt of the schedule here because it's a lot of divisional football games. So, for example, this upcoming Sunday, 7-2 Washington Commanders on the road. Hard game. Come back home against the Baltimore Ravens. Then you got back-to-back road matchups against the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. Then you come back home, you take on the Cleveland Browns for the second time. Then the final 4-game stretch is crazy. You play like 10 or 3 games in 10 days. You got Philly on the road. You got Baltimore on the road. You got Kansas City on Christmas Day. Finish it off against Cincy. Like, Pittsburgh 6-2. But you look around the league, the Chiefs just traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Amari Cooper just went to the Buffalo Bills. Teams are making moves. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the best teams currently in the National Football League, let alone the AFC. So I just think this is a really good trade. I wasn't looking for anything too crazy. I don't think they needed anything too crazy, like a Brandon Ayuk or a DK Metcalf. He will be a free agent by the end of this season, but I give this trade an A. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. But guys, give me your grade for the Pittsburgh Steelers down below. Peace.